Own Pathway Coaching. I'm looking forward to journeying with you as you discover the purpose in your marriage. Welcome to session 1 of Marriage on Purpose. In the same way that we each have an individual purpose, we have a purpose in our marriage. We are two unique individuals brought together to reflect God's glory as a team. And anytime you put unique people together, there are bound to be differences. And sometimes those differences can be hard to understand. When we're able to communicate and come together with a common goal, we can do amazing things. This is an opportunity for you and your spouse to communicate, connect, and rediscover some of the core values that brought you together in the first place. I want to give you the tools that will encourage and support you as you move forward in living out of your values and your purpose in your marriage. So each week has a video as well as printable worksheets to promote conversation and discovery. And at the end of our 4 sessions, you will have explored how you each make decisions and how that affects communication in your relationship. You'll have explored and discussed your values individually and together. Together, you'll have created a marriage purpose statement, as well as brainstormed some long-term and short-term goals and discussed personal commitments and living out your marriage purpose. This curriculum isn't designed to fix every issue in your marriage. In fact, it may highlight some areas that need to be discussed further. It's designed to enhance your relationship and communication and give you an opportunity to remember why you and your spouse first got together and validate the amazing things you love and appreciate about each other. This will also give you a plan for moving forward together and making a positive impact in the world through your marriage. I do want to clarify right from the beginning that this is not something that can be successfully completed by only one spouse. This is designed to be completed by 2 equal partners who are committed to doing the hard work required in order to have a dynamic relationship and are looking for a marriage full of purpose and an adventure to live out together. So let's get started. You should have already completed worksheet 1. So if you haven't, go ahead and pause the video while you do that. Today we're going to talk about how you each focus, how you gather information, process that information, and ultimately make decisions. This is vital to understand before we move forward, since we are often so different in this area, and it dramatically affects how we have conversations and how we react to our partner during those conversations. Often the answer is not a clear 100% on either side of the scale, so don't worry if you can relate to every statement on the worksheet. This is a tool to start a conversation and explore this area. This is not to give you 100% solid answers about your temperament. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and start with focus. People focus either internally with laser focus or externally with a more wide range focus. People that focus internally can concentrate with laser-like precision. When they're in a conversation with someone, the person in front of them has their full attention and focus. And the same goes for tasks. They often concentrate so intently that when interrupted, it could take them a few minutes to refocus on the new conversation or task. They may need to take a short break after about 45 minutes of conversation. A break could look something like looking out a window or getting up to go get a drink of water. Internally focused people tend to be more unproductive in areas with lots of activity and wide open spaces. They tend to be more productive in a designated area with the door closed or in a quiet space. Externally focused people tend to like activity and noise and can be extremely productive doing tasks in coffee shops or in open offices. They may have music playing or the TV going while having conversations or doing tasks and can still concentrate well. They're often very aware of everything going on around them and can track multiple conversations at once. Because they have a more wide range focus, they're able to stay engaged in a conversation for about 90 minutes before needing a break. So you might be asking, how does this affect communication in my marriage? Well, let me give you an example from my own marriage. My husband is more external and I'm usually more internal. And it can be difficult for me to concentrate on conversations when there's loud music playing or the TV going, which he enjoys having going all the time. He, on the other hand, has a difficult time with my inability to stick with a conversation for more than about 45 minutes. Because I tend to focus intently. After 45 minutes, I need a breather. He can, however, have conversations that last much longer without needing a break. And again, a break is like a drink of water or a quick trip to the restroom. Okay, let's move on to how we gather information. We tend to gather information from two primary areas, experiences in the past as a realist, or the possibilities of the future as a futurist. If you're someone who gathers information from past experiences, they could be personal, observed, learned, but you have a reference point, and maybe live by the motto, if it happened once, it will happen again. If that sounds like you, you're probably most comfortable gathering information from the past as a realist. If you enjoy theory, possibilities, and the hope of what could be as opposed to what is right now, you may gather information more as a futurist. So how we gather information can be especially challenging in a relationship if your spouse is vastly different from you. My husband is a high realist, and I'm a little more 50-50. During conversations, I can get really frustrated when he says things like, "You always do this," or "This is always what happens." We've been married for 25 years, and we have a lot of history. It takes both of us understanding where we gather information from and appreciating that difference. I get to bring balance to our decision making, because in my mind, things that have been are not necessarily the things that will always be, because I can see things more as a futurist. So learning how to communicate about those differences and valuing the difference in the way that we may view things. I value my husband's ability to remember past mistakes and not make them again. He values my ability to see possibilities and see dreams and see a different future than he can. So coming together and really using how we gather information as a strength rather than as a point of tension and conflict is a super, super valuable part of gathering information. So we have to do something with the information that we gather. So we process it. We process information in two primary ways, as a thinker or as a feeler. Think of information coming in as static balloons, you know, the ones that get caught in your hair at a birthday party. A thinker sees the balloons coming from a distance, and they catch it out in front of them and decide whether or not to accept the information contained in the balloon. A feeler can't see the balloon coming, so they're consistently covered in static balloons. They have to work hard at pulling that information away from them and looking at it. They always feel first, and then they're able to learn how to kind of pull that information off, look at it, and maybe discard it at that point. A thinker can actually seem somewhat cold sometimes because they have caught the information out here and they don't need to have emotions about it. They don't need to feel about it first because they caught it out here, and they're going to look at it and think about it and decide whether or not to accept the truth of that information, the feelings of that information. The thing that I find really fascinating about the difference in thinkers and feelers is you would assume that in a relationship A feeler has the most emotion invested because they have feelings all over the place, right? That actually is not true. A feeler has their emotions on the outside. You know how they are feeling about a certain situation or person or decision. A thinker actually feels things more deeply because they have analyzed it, they have looked at the options, and they have decided to accept this feeling. So in a marriage, I hope that you're married to a thinker, because they are people of deep, deep emotions. I don't know if you are a Trekkie, but I think of Spock. When I think of a thinker, I think of Spock. He is logic, but he has deep, deep emotions. Feelers also, they have deep emotions. They're just closer to the surface, and so they're a little bit easier to see. Both of you are extremely important and create a whole cohesive team. Okay, so now that we've focused, we've gathered information, we have processed it, now we have to make a decision. And we do that as a planner or as an adapter. Picture a decision being made as a drawbridge that needs to be pulled up. A planner is going to quickly assess the situation using the facts in front of them, then pull up the drawbridge. They tend to make quick decisions without feeling the need to wait for more information. An adapter will wait until they feel like they have enough information to make the right decision before they pull the drawbridge up. Oftentimes, they will never feel like they have enough information and will ultimately feel forced into making a decision because they're running out of time. Oftentimes, you can spot an adapter by a tendency to procrastinate. And it's really, really helpful to notice that they're not procrastinating because they're lazy. They're not procrastinating because they just are too busy or whatever. They usually are procrastinating because they feel like they can't do a good enough job if they do it right now. So it actually is a very valuable trait to be an adapter. And with all of these things that we've talked about, opposites attract. It's very, very normal to have married somebody different than you. And that's a good thing because we balance each other out. So I know that I've just skipped a rock over the surface of this topic, and no one fits into a nice, neat box. We are a beautiful mixture of all of these traits in varying degrees, and none of us will probably be all or nothing in every category. We're unique, and unique in how we relate to each other. So based on all the differences of how we focus, how we gather information, process the information, and make decisions, it's no surprise that communication can be a challenge. In a marriage, it's so important to recognize the individuality of our spouse, as well as the positive traits that they bring to the relationship. So take some time to complete worksheet number 2 and talk through some of the differences that are unique to your relationship. Don't forget to recognize and validate those amazing differences that you each bring to your relationship. Your conversation is going to lay some great groundwork for session 2. So see you soon. See you for session 2.